So here at Kalamazoo College with Esther and with Carolyn, and tell me the history of Taiko.
That's a good one for Esther.
Well, the history of Taiko goes back to the temples and shrines where it was used in worshiping, but it also announced enemies coming, and so it was used in war. And now it's used to remind us of those war times and what we've accomplished.
But what you said is very important. Even in China, we've both traveled and taught in China, and in the ancient cities, you find the drum tower in the center of the city.
Okay, Esther, this is the part where I get to try drumming. So what are we going to do?
Lucky you.
I know, lucky me.
Well, first, form is very, very important. So you need to pretend you're sitting on a horse.
Okay.
And you need to put your arms not stock straight, but out here, and not go past the middle of the drum.
Okay.
Okay, so now just kind of set into it.
I had to take my shoes off so I could really be
Of
grounded.
course. So you're going to be bringing your arm up like this, but see, now yours is it needs to be like this.
I can't even get the arm right.
There you go. There you go. You got it. Okay. And when this is slow motion, when you're going to hit, it's like, right? No. So you just went like this. It's like this. And then, yeah. And then, but don't leave it there. So you're like this.
Boy, you got to be strong to do this, right?
Uh-huh. And you can put both arms up. Say, hi, right, say, left, hi, hi. This is your right.
Am I hopeless? Am I hopeless? Don't tell me I'm hopeless.
No, you're not hopeless.
I know that you're her sensei. So how do you become a sensei?
Well, you have to study long and hard, and then you have to test and have a license, and they cost money. I mean, it's true of every kind of art form, like tea ceremony, or you have to take a test and get a license.
Who were your teachers? I think it was in Japan, right?
Yes, and my teacher is now, I think he's 81 this year.
And you're both percussionists, so what was it that kind of drew you to that?
Oh, wow. The first time I heard Taiko, and I was 47 then.
47 years young.
Yeah.
And what about you, Carolyn?
In Japan.
When I first went to Japan, I joined a choir that one of my co-workers was in. And they were the ones that asked me, what can we do for you? You know, what would you like to do while you're in Japan? And I'm going, well, I'd like to study some kind of Japanese art form. You know, I'm here for a year, so I need to, capitalize on that. So they said, okay, and the next week they had set me up with a tea ceremony person. And for all of you people watching this, tea ceremony is so beautiful. Yes, it is, truly is.
I did one too. I stayed awake.
Really? Oh, I was asleep in about 60 seconds. I just, and this teacher was so angry with me, she just said, arigato.
Does that mean scat?
No, that means thank you.
Oh.
She didn't mean it.
She meant more like thank you, no thank
Yeah,
you.
right.
Showed me the door.
You two are like Thelma and Louise or something, I swear.
We were walking in the park, right in the middle of the city, beautiful park, and there was a couple of people playing taiko in the park, and there were like 8 or 10 naked men standing there. I almost fainted. They weren't naked, of course. They were wearing fundoshi. That's the one that the sumo wrestlers wear.
Yes.
And they started hitting those drums, and I mean, it bounced you right out of the seat. It was so powerful. I just sat there, with my mouth hanging open for 2 hours, and I went running down the stairs to meet them on the patio, and I said, "That's it! That's it! That's what I want to do!"
Wow.
And 35 faces fell. And they said, "Esther, you can't do that. That's for men. Women don't play taiko." Well, I'm American.
Right.
And I had red hair.
Yeah.
I did. That's past tense. I still have red hair in my spirit. So,
Oh,
right.
yes,
That's
this
right.
is true.
so I wouldn't give up, but it didn't do me any good. And so after my year was finished, I was transferred to start a new school in Hiroshima. They found a teacher for me there. He was the only one in the world, I think, that taught women and foreigners. He didn't care. And he was just a beautiful man. And anyway, I learned to love him dearly. And he taught me how to play taiko.
Munakata sensei.
Munakata sensei, yes. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and always lift your bachi. We never play like this.
How do you play?
Yeah, you always bring the end of it up.
I'm getting it. I'm getting it. Right?
She's making this up as she goes along. So, gosh, I don't know what to do with a student like this.
Just throw in the towel.
Okay, no, I'm not going to do that. You have to shout too. Say hi, right, hop, left, hop, right, hop, left, hop.
And I kind of sense that it's important for you to kind of keep this taiko tradition alive. Why is that?
Well, it's one of the most, outside of people, it's the most important thing in my life, playing these drums and sharing them with other people is just my joy. That's when I'm the happiest, is when I'm able to share. And even teaching is more important than performing, although I do love to perform because I know what I'm doing and I can play the whole tune without having to correct somebody, right?
Yeah, but you lived in Japan for 7 years,
Yeah.
studying taiko,
Almost 8
teaching English.
years.
And then you came back to Phoenix and founded the first taiko dojo in
Yes.
Arizona.
And I know that you just did a lot of traveling, right? You've traveled a lot, and you had a lot of nerve because you would call these masters, right, these musicians, and ask if you could study with them. How did you get the nerve to do that, number one? And then is that how you two connected?
Well, it's sort of just the same thing Esther did. We have a lot of parallel experiences in our life in a strange sort of way. And when I would see people doing something that I wanted to know how to do, I would approach them and say, I want to learn how to do that. Can I study with you?
Yeah.
Who can I study with? How can I learn that? And actually what I would usually say is, where can I learn how to do that? And they said, you can meet me tomorrow afternoon for a lesson. And I realized time and time again that everyone is so very approachable and really wants to share and to
Not everyone.
continue to pass this on.
How
The
about
people I met.
Oh, I was going to say, where were they when I was?
Right? I know.
But I'm a few generations behind you, and we know that when women were in school years ago, different generations, they weren't allowed to play drums.
No.
Literally not allowed. And so when women of those generations see Esther doing this now, and they're in her generation, they still want to do it because they never got to do it yet.
Exactly.
And
yeah, the
so,
dream never dies, right?
No. And so it's just so fascinating and inspiring for so many people to see Esther still going at this in her 70s.
And is there a particular kind of rhythm that you like playing more than another, or just mixing it all up, or what?
I think rhythms that inspire people to dance. I'm not so interested in music that is highly intellectualized and antiseptic to a point of being quite academic, but not conveying the same quality of feeling, you know. So I think that that's the main, you know, priority for me with music. And taiko sometimes is or isn't complicated in terms of what the actual beat patterns are, but it always has an energy and a spirit to it that connects to people if you really inhabit the music.
Almost all of the taiko music tells a story and or has a particular use, like warning people in one village to the one that's 20 miles down the road that the warriors are coming, you know, trying to kill us.
Deep context in taiko music, and this type and style that Esther has studied especially. I don't find it necessarily as true in the contemporary North American taiko music.
No.
It's new compositions by young composers, largely Japanese American and or American, whereas the tunes that Esther studied and brought back with her are indigenous pieces of tunes that are hundreds and hundreds of years old.
And many of them talk about the history of that, whatever place it came from. So but that's true here too. I mean, like blues and jazz and hi, 1, hop, 2, hop, 3, hop, 4, hop. Very good, she did 1 through 4.
It only took a half hour, but who's counting, right?
Right. Well, we're counting beats. Okay.
What does that job look like?
Well, actually, I've been involved with the college for a number of years and came in to help organize and stimulate the international percussion program here. Esther got involved in
And she's kind of your sensei, right?
2012, and came in when our last student taiko players graduated, and I had no experience with this art form because there are no players or teachers in this region, and Esther was looking to relocate to Michigan from her dojo in Phoenix, and we connected, and it ended up that she was able to come in and take over the taiko program.
There's a big difference, though, and the two of us, you must know, that she's a real musician. I know nothing. I mean, I played 3 chords on the piano. That was it until I learned how to play. And I sing when my voice is not compromised. But that really enabled her. Because I remember when I first met you, and she was going somewhere, and I said, "What are you going to do?" And she said, "I'm going to learn how to play blah, blah, blah instrument." And I said, "But you told me you'd be back on Friday." That was 3 days later. She said, "Yeah." I mean, that's how fast she learns things.
Yeah.
Me? I mean, it took me 7 years to learn how to play taiko. Say hi! Now here. What would we call that?
A mixed up mess.
Oleo! Oleo! There you go.
Well, I know
They're
you
up there
both.
waiting.
I know you both are just loaded with stories. So I just want to thank you so much for talking with me today. I really appreciate
Have
it.
another couple of hours.
I do have another couple hours. Do they have a couple hours?
We don't. And probably they don't, so.
Support for Kalamazoo Lively Arts is provided by the Irving S. Gilmore Foundation, helping to build and enrich the cultural life of Greater Kalamazoo.